these bones live. You see they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good to Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. all right, if you got it now, just hold it for me. I'll be there to get it after a while. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. You got to make up in your mind. Hey, family. I had y'all on mute. I don't know why. I might not have it right now. May not get it next week. You might Good morning. Stop me from getting it. But if God said it's mine, I want you to know after a while, I'm going to get what belongs to me. Sometimes God got to strip what you got so you don't depend on yourself. He got to take away from you so you understand how to depend on El Shaddai. Come on in here. Rep your city, rep your town. What's happening? Thank you, Jesus. Our young people are dying. Cracked out. Suicide. Homicide. They'll kill you at the drop of a dime. Our jails are full. All right, all right, all right. The crime still runs rampant. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Tell somebody Bishop is on the air right now. They're blowing up my phone lines. I don't even know why, because I haven't even started the show. I see you, New Jersey. I see you, Houston. I see the 413 in the hizzy. Let's go. Look like they're suppressing my Twitter space. They're always doing something, man. It's always something. If it ain't one thing, it's another. It's always one of these social media sites. All the more reason why we need our own. Facebook trip with you. If they ain't tripping with you, Instagram tripping with you. If they ain't tripping with you, Twitter tripping with you. Because some moderator is mad at what you got to say. Some white person sitting in the moderation space decided they're going to suppress your stream. And keep it from that audience. It is what it is. What you gonna do? Yeah, I know it's on, but it's been. Let me log on and we'll get back. 90.7 WTCC. Good morning and welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. And I want to welcome all of you all who are listening here in the Pioneer Valley and beyond in the Pioneer Valley. And I got some folk from Houston, and I got some folk from the 413, and I got some folk from New York City, and I got some folk from the AT and the L. You know, I got some folks that are up in here with us, and welcome on this Monday morning. It is, well, it's getting to be springtime in the city and in the nation.
Still a little cool, but we're inching here in New England. We're inching up into the 50s, and supposed to hit the 60s soon. So we're on our way. So we had that crazy State of the Union that happened, and trade wars with allies, just crazy stuff going on. And as I stated on my Friday broadcast, it I go through seasons. When I criticize Democrats, um, then all the Democrats get upset and say I must be working for the Republicans. I'm getting a check, I'm getting paid, which is crazy because had they paid attention the first 4 years Trump was in office, they would have known that was crazy. Um, and then when I criticized the Republicans, then the conservative black folks, the anti-Democrat black folks, I won't even call them conservative black folks, the anti-Democrat folks say, oh, I'm a Democrat shill. I must be a Democrat. I must be getting paid by the Democrats. Like they didn't pay attention to when I was criticizing the Biden administration. It's convenient they try to blame you for because we're stuck in this duopoly. We're stuck in this two-party frame of mind to where we think if somebody criticizes a Republican or conservative agenda, they must be on the Democrat plantation. And if somebody criticizes the Democrats, they must be a coon and on the Republican plantation. It's like we act like people can't be independent. Usually when they say free thinkers, that's something that these conservatives, these black Republicans and their white supremacist counterparts came up with. They call anybody who is down with the white supremacist agenda a free thinker. That's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about independent. I'm talking about truly independent. Somebody who is not tied to either political party, but tied to the best interests of their people and thus able to hold both political parties accountable. That's the space that I'm in. Okay. Um, and those of you who have followed me for any period of time, you understand that. So those who are on, oh man, I used to like your page, but now it seemed like you down with the Democrats. I'm not down with the Democrats simply because I'm critiquing the craziness that's happening with this madman in the White House. I mean, since when is condemning the erasure of Black history being down with the Democrats? Since when is critiquing the abolishment of DEI down with the Democrats? And DEI, let's not get it twisted. For those of you who keep saying DEI is about LGBTQ and transgender, no, it's about Black. When Donald Trump and his ilk say DEI, they're talking about Black people. They are what they're insinuating is Black people who got jobs, no matter what the job is. They didn't get it based on merit. That's why they come up with this meritocracy crap. They didn't get it based on merit. That's why you got Charlie Kirk saying, I wouldn't fly a plane. He didn't say I wouldn't get in a plane with a gay pilot. He said I would have a problem if I got on a plane and there was a Black pilot. Okay. When they decided to fire someone from the Joint Chiefs of Staff, it was the Black 4-star general. So you can twist DEI to mean whatever you want it to mean. But when they say DEI, they're talking about Black people. So let's just keep it a buck. So since when is coming against those who are against Black people a Democrat thing? I question you when you can't hold Republicans accountable. You can't be so anti-Democrat that you endorse this crap that Trump is doing. Because then I question your independence and your sanity. So I'm going to deal with that today. I'm going to deal with the duopoly. I'm going to deal with the fact that both political parties have failed black people. And I'll tell you the reasons I believe they have. But you don't ignore an existential threat to the black family and the black community simply because you're anti-democrat, so you're willing to roll with whatever the hell kind of foolishness this madman is doing in the White House. All right. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781 is the number here if you want to chime in on today's conversation. Don't you go nowhere. We coming right back.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of WTCC Radio or Springfield Technical Community College.
Life is growth, but the essence of growth is change. The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Come on, come on, come on. Reach a little higher, come on, yeah. Dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Come on, but don't stop. The essence of life is growth, but the essence of growth is change. The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Your life will never change until you get disgusted with where you are. Whatever you don't hate is what you tolerate. You must learn from the past, plan for the future, and live for today. For it is your daily routine that determines your success.
All right, let's go, y'all.
It's the choices that you have made up until this point that will determine the rest of your life. So break the cycle that doing
Good morning.
is good enough. You only get out what you put in, so don't settle for the crumbs when you can have a whole loaf. So push yourself beyond your limitations. Come on. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further. Don't stop, don't stop. Come on, reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further,
go a little further.
Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. So you gotta break the routine of trying to beat the system. Manipulators will always try to bypass the process for the quick progress. There are no shortcuts to success.
I see you.
There are no elevators to the top. You gotta take.
I see Riley in the building.
You gotta break the routine of allowing others to get into your head and control who you are and where you're going. You see, when you're about the positive, you're gonna always have haters. But don't let your haters push you down. Let your haters push you forward.
I see you, Reverend Mayfield.
Show you who they really are. Don't perceive them to be something else that they're not. See, a zebra does not change his stripes. So you gotta keep pushing yourself to the next level.
I see you, Reverend Dr. Jesse, preacher man, Burgess. Yeah, Francesca, I know the Twitter space is on, but they're still suppressing it in terms of its reach. They play games like that. 413 in the building.
You'll never discover your greatness without hard work and dedication. Greatness says more about who you are.
What's up, H-Town?
And greatness will always attract greatness. Show me your friends, and I'll show you the future. The future. You're just a step away. You're just a step away. You're just a step away. Don't ever give up. Come on. You're just a step away. You're almost there. Come on. You got to push yourself beyond your limitations. You see, there's no mountain too high.
Keep on moving.
You can go where you want to go. It's all in the power of your imagination. If you can see the invisible.
All right, let's go, y'all. Like, share, subscribe. Tell somebody we on.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. A strong, beautiful black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, stolen from, and hit. But it just made me stronger, and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. Don't go down. I rose above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil.
I see you, Jacksonville.
The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, or worthy of love, I kicked his butt with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me and brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love from me he came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to each and every one of you. Question in the chat section: are you Democrat, Republican, or Independent? I need y'all to answer that question for me. Are you Democrat? And you might be third party somewhere. There might be some folks that are Green Party or something else. So you can feel free to toss that in there. But are you Democrat, Republican, or Independent? Is the question that is in the chat section. And want to kind of get your take on that while we're talking about this. Already, yeah, so go ahead and toss that into the chat section. Good morning. I see Independent. I see Democrat. I see Independent. I see Democrat. Ain't seeing Republicans pop up yet, but throw that in the chat section. The field is in here. Jacksonville, Florida is in the building. H-Town is in the building. New Jersey's in the building. ATL is in the building. New York City's in the building. Canada's in the building. Good morning, Canada. I hope these trade wars don't mess y'all up too much. Raleigh, North Carolina is in the building. Charlotte, North Carolina is in the building. Los Angeles is in the building. Kansas City is in the building. Chi-Town again in the building. Newark, New Jersey is up in the building. Let me see what we got over here. We got Democrat. Come on, I got Dem. I got a bunch of Democrats on Instagram. I don't see any Republicans over on this side yet. Okay, I got San Francisco up in here. Got another Jacksonville up in here. Got another Atlanta up here. I got a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania up in here. Got another Charlotte up in here. Somebody's gonna work on me with this coffee. I feel you. I got some water too. Strong Island is in the building. Hampton, Virginia is up in the mix. I got an independent. I got another independent. Come on, where the independents at? Yeah. Democrat, Republican, Independent. Let's get it in here. I got the Bahamas up in here. Yes. Good morning. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you are chiming in from. Vancouver. Hey, what's happening, Vancouver, Canada? Got another Democrat, got another Independent. Yes. Got another New York City and another Independent. That's what Mark said. He's a proud Republican. Mark's a proud Republican, y'all. I got another Democrat up in here. Somebody said they're all the way liberal. Another Independent, another Democrat, another Democrat, another Democrat, another Independent, another Democrat. All right. Looks like Democrats and Independents are the ones that are the majority rolling up through here. So far, all I got is one Republican. I got one Democrat, but hold them accountable. Somebody formerly New York, but now they're in Arizona. Welcome, Arizona. What's it, about 110 degrees out there? Santa Cruz is up in the building. Another Long Island is in the building. We got another Independent, another Democrat up in here. Another Democrat, another Democrat, another Democrat. Uh-oh. Yeah. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? Don't be ashamed. Go ahead and rep. You know, Uncle Remus said, always be who you is. Because when you ain't what you is what you ain't. The Bronx. The Bronx is up in here. Yes, I got an independent from the Republic of London. Independent from London is up in the building. Democrat, independent. All right. Let me see. A Frederick Douglass conservative. Explain that to the people so they know what you're talking about. A Frederick Douglass conservative. Yeah, so just by this example of people chiming in on their political affiliation shows you black people are not a monolith. And even when black people vote Democrat, it doesn't mean they are Democrat. Sometimes people just choose to go with a particular candidate, and they're not tied to a particular party. And here's the reality, brothers and sisters. Party loyalty, particularly nowadays, particularly in light of everything we've seen, you know, focusing in on since the George Floyd murder, it doesn't mean much in American politics anymore. Because the parties themselves don't mean much. They're so fluid and pliable, and they go wherever the wind blows. The conservative Republican Party is now the MAGA Party. All the so-called family value stuff, that don't mean nothing no more. They ain't about family values. You know, they elected a rapist and a convicted criminal as the president. So you can't lecture me on family values when you elected a 34-time convicted felon and adjudicated rapist as the president of the United States. I don't want to hear nothing about no family values. I don't hear nothing about that. Don't harp on me on the abortion stuff when you elected a man who has paid for his mistresses to have abortions. Okay. And then Democrats, as soon as your political standing is in jeopardy, they are always willing to move to the right to try to satisfy those that they say they oppose. It's been done so many times. This isn't something new. I told y'all on Friday how we got the crime bill by a bunch of Democrats. Joe Biden was the architect of it, and Bill Clinton signed it into law. So you got the modern mass incarceration era was sponsored by Democrats. Okay? 10 years after the crime bill was signed, mass incarceration more than doubled, particularly amongst black people. That was courtesy of Democrats because Clinton wanted to get reelected. He wanted to seem like he was tough on crime, and he was willing to sacrifice black people on the altar of white supremacy in order to do it. Millions of families were dumped into the lower levels of poverty when Bill Clinton signed welfare reform, under pressure by conservatives, so he could get reelected. So when it comes time to save their political careers, they don't care about the ideals that they claim they stand with black people on. Both parties are willing to compromise on what they say their convictions are when it comes to political expediency, and both parties will side with white supremacy over black people. So both political parties are hollowed out institutions. They perform the pageantry of democracy while failing to deliver on its promises. There's a new book out by Sam Rosenfeld and Daniel Schlossman, and it's called Hollow Parties. Hollow Parties. And it talks about how our political system is dominated by parties that are strong on the outside but nothing on the inside. And this type of dysfunction is felt most deeply in black communities because we find ourselves trapped in this duopoly, trapped in this system where the Republican Party has descended into overt racism, authoritarianism, fascism, and cultural warfare. And the Democratic Party is paralyzed by its own internal divisions, by corporate entanglements, the almighty dollar, fear of bold leadership, and just being spineless. In many instances, Democrats are just spineless. They don't have a backbone. And so I submit to you that both parties are failing, not just in governance, but in representing the real needs, the real struggles, and the real aspirations of black people. So on the one hand, you got the Republicans that are a home for white grievance. The white folks that are mad at anything and need to blame somebody for their misfortune. You know, it's amazing how they always tell us, take responsibility. But then they turn around and blame everybody else for their failings. If I can't get a job and I'm white, it's because of those immigrants. It's because of those. If I can't get into school and I'm white, it's because a black person got my spot. You know, everything that they fail at, they blame somebody else for. And this is the party of take responsibility who never want to take responsibility. So the Republican Party is not a traditional conservative party. It's an extremist movement that's wrapped in red, fueled by white grievance, Christian nationalism, and a pathological hatred for anything that is remotely associated with racial justice. It's the party that tried to overturn a democratic election, that incited an insurrection, and continues to normalize political violence and authoritarianism. From attacking voting rights, banning Black history, targeting immigrants, defending police brutality, Republicans have made it clear that Black people are not part of their vision for America. We are their scapegoats. We are their cultural punching bags. We are their political bait. That's how they can get rid of DEI, because in the minds of their feckless followers, DEI means Black folks. That's why they can do mass firings of federal workers, because of how many Black people work in the federal government. They don't want our votes. They want us to be erased. That's what's up with the Republicans. They don't care about our votes because they can win with just white votes, with white grievance, and then Latinos and others who join in on voting for them. You know, I will vote for Donald Trump. And so they continue to gaslight the nation by insisting that they are the party of Lincoln, as if they always tell us to forget about stuff, but then they act like 19th century history absolves them of their 21st century sins. This is the same party whose modern playbook was built on the Southern strategy, which was a deliberate appeal to white racial resentment in the wake of civil rights gains. We're seeing it all over again. I keep telling y'all, every time there is black progress, there is white backlash. Every time Barack Obama gets elected, the Tea Party comes up, and then you wind up with Donald Trump. There's always white backlash. And then on the other hand, you got the Democratic Party, who is big on giving us symbolism without substance. So let's be clear, just because the Republican Party is dangerous doesn't mean the Democratic Party is righteous. Democrats want to talk about diversity and equity and inclusion, but when it comes time to legislate, when it comes time to put policy behind the platitudes, they shrink. They compromise. They cave in. Every time. And see, you gotta watch and pay attention to what happens behind the scenes, not just what is happening that gets covered by the news media. Because the stuff that's happening behind the scenes is the dangerous stuff that we miss. Case in point, the first time Trump was in office, when he stacked the federal courts with Republican, conservative, anti-civil rights judges. You know how he was able to do that? He could have never did that without Democrat help. Because they could have held up most of those federal appointments. But Mitch McConnell was cutting deals with Chuck Schumer to approve these racist judges. The Democrats played along with it. This is what they don't tell you. This is what they don't want you to know. Behind the scenes, they talk about all of this stuff, but they shrink, they compromise, and they cave in. They take our votes for granted. They offer us lip service and then expect for us to be satisfied with representation alone. You get Juneteenth. You get a black woman on the Supreme Court. Yeah, that's historic. But what about federal action on voting rights? We still haven't got the Voting Rights Act restored. Just Saturday was the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, of the march from Selma to Montgomery, when they went across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and where John Lewis had his skull fractured and they were attacked by police. That historic march was the catalyst that led to the signing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 12 years ago, in 2013, the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act right now is unenforceable. Here we are still commemorating the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, and it's not even in effect anymore. So we got a black woman on the Supreme Court, we got Juneteenth, but we got no federal action on restoring the Voting Rights Act. We got no federal action on reparations. We got no federal action on police accountability or on economic justice. Where is the same urgency that we see when Wall Street wants tax breaks or foreign lobbyists want funding? And this is my problem with Democrats. They run to bail out banks because of their corporate entanglements. They run to bail out other countries. Democrats are down with AIPAC and sending $4 billion a year to Israel. They stand up and they make promises to Israel, regardless of all the atrocities we see in Israel. Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, all of them touted giving a $38 billion package to Israel. But they don't even want to talk about reparations for black people. They've sent billions of dollars to Ukraine. So when white folks get into a conflict, and listen, you Democrats out there, don't get nervous. This is just what it is. White folks get into a conflict in Eastern Europe. Russia starts fighting against Ukraine. Democrats rally behind their selected person in the conflict, and they send billions of our dollars there. If there's a conflict in Africa, they sit back whistling Dixie. They let 1 million Rwandans get slaughtered. They let millions of Africans get slaughtered in conflicts that happen in Africa. But when white folks in Europe get to fighting, we got to send American taxpayer dollars there, and the Democrats are behind that too. So they're not innocent. They control the largest voter base in the country, and they still govern timidly. The one thing you got to give to Trump and the Republicans, they go in and they do what they say they're going to do. We're going to abolish this, we're going to do that. And they go in, even if it's illegal. All these illegal executive orders and stuff like that, they like, whatever, we'll let the courts figure that out, but we're going to do it. Democrats walk on eggshells, acting like they scared. And remember, the first part of Obama's administration, the first part of Biden's administration, they controlled the Congress as well. And with the exception of the Affordable Care Act, where was the bold passing of legislation? Where was the Reparations Act? Where was the Police Accountability Act? Where was restoring the Voting Rights Act? Where was that at? So it's a hollow duopoly. The problem is not just the individual failures of each individual party, it's the structure of the two-party system itself. It basically locks us into a political duopoly where black people are always forced to choose between the lesser of two evils. We are always forced to choose Satan or Lucifer. It locks us into this mores where we choose between open hostility of Republicans or ineffective allyship of the Democrats. And neither party prioritizes building policies for us. And in this hollow political landscape, these parties have become tools for white elites, not vehicles of the people. For the Republicans, it's the billionaires. And make no mistake about it, Elon Musk is using Donald Trump and the MAGA party to build his fortune and his influence. He wants to become the first trillionaire. And then Democrats have become the party for elite corporate folks. They're not vehicles for the people. Grassroots energy gets funneled into dead-end negotiations. Corporate money is what drives both of their policy agendas. And so we have media theatrics that replace movement building. And so then you got all these para-party forces. You got the donors, you got the super PACs, you got the cable news pundits that hold more power than any local precinct captain, any party committee, anybody at the grassroots political level. And so the results of all this is politics that are disconnected from everyday people. Politics that see Black communities as nothing more than data points and votes to count, not constituents. Politics that survive off of stoking fear, fear of the other party, fear of somebody of another race, fear of somebody that speaks a different language, fear of somebody that's different, the fear of change, fear of upsetting the party structure, fear of losing something. That's what the American political system is based on right now. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Bishop. I know we've disagreed many times in the past, but I agree with a lot of what you're saying today. You know, when you and I were growing up, and we're about the same age, the parties there were differences, but they weren't all that different, you know what I mean? What you saw the other night, you couldn't have a bigger difference between the two parties. Now, I don't give a hamburger about Ukraine. I agree 100%. I don't send another dime over to Ukraine. Let them work it out. Why send billions of dollars over? You know, I'd rather have the billions and billions of dollars for reparations for Black people.
Wow. Now that's huge coming from you.
I told you that we had a discussion about it several months ago, right? So one of the things, and I didn't vote for a pope here, right? Donald Trump is a very flawed person, okay? No doubt about it. One thing, many things you could say about Donald Trump. He's for America. He's decisive. He tells you what he's going to do, and he does it. That is very appealing to a lot of people, which is why he made gains in every single state in the country, including Black people and obviously Latinos and white people, you know, and all that. So, you know, when you see, and this is what drives me crazy, billions of dollars going to illegal people in this, that should be going to Americans, that should be going to veterans, that should be going to Black people, that should be going to all kinds of people. I don't want them going to people who don't belong in the country because they came here illegally.
And also, I don't want them going to people who didn't come here illegal, who don't even live here, as in why are we sending $4 billion a year to Israel every single year?
You know, I agree. You know, one of the things about Israel, you know, they're sitting there in the Middle East. Everybody's gunning for them. You know, we need Israel to be, you know, we need Israel to survive, you know. But I agree. You know, that's why, you know, when Donald Trump says we're going to find the waste in government, we're going to stop sending all that, we're going to try to be accountable.
Well, I don't, you know, there is absolutely nobody, Democrat, Republican, or independent, who doesn't want the government to be efficient. There's nobody who's sitting here saying, yeah, we want wasteful government. No, nobody disagrees on that. What we do disagree on is where is the waste in government, and how do you go immediately to USAID instead of going to the Department of Defense that has not passed an audit for 19 years, not passed an audit, and it's the largest budget that there is, and they can't find the money that has been allocated there. And you don't start with the Department of Defense, but you do start with an agency that has an open investigation against one of Elon Musk's corporations. That ain't a coincidence.
Now, you know, he's just getting started here, right? I mean, he hasn't been in there, you know, it's 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it is. And I hope what you're saying is correct, that I know they're kind of going in here with a wrecking ball, But at some point, they need to say, hey, we got to figure out what does work and we need to keep that, and what's wasteful and we need to stop that.
And then they got to figure out what they're doing. Learn how the government works first. These guys went in and laid off the people who oversee America's nuclear arsenal because they didn't know that they were the people that oversaw the nuclear arsenal. What kind of incompetence is that?
I think what it is right now, like they're just going in kind of like recklessly right now. And I agree. It's gotta, there has to be, it's like anything else, right? You can't swing the pendulum one way without saying, hey, wait a minute, let's come back a little bit. Let's figure out what works, figure out what doesn't work. And, let's make decisions after we kind of figure that out. I'll end with this. Here's the other thing. And, the Democrats, I know you probably disagree. They have gone so crazy left. The perfect example, these transgenders in sport. Now that's an 80-20 issue, probably an 85-15, even a 90-10 issue. Where you know what I love watching women's sports. I don't want men in women's sports. They don't. You don't have to. Let's have women's sports be women's sports, and let's enjoy that. And men's sports be men's sports. We love the fact that women are different from men.
The other thing is, and at the same time, Republicans have gone way far to the right, to the point there was never a time before now where even in their overt racism that they would have pundits that are just openly saying Martin Luther King doesn't deserve a holiday. We shouldn't have any black pilots. Let's just get rid of Black Lives Matter Plaza. I mean, like the words Black Lives Matter are so offensive that we're going to threaten to remove federal funding from an entire city if they don't get rid of the word black. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's got to stop. I hear you. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I mean, we got to kind of find a little bit of middle ground here. But I like a lot of the things that Trump does. But he's not a pope, and I think deep down, like you said, in the 70s, he was racist with the housing. I hope as he's gotten older, he can kind of, honoring black businesses and doing more there. And come out, he's done so much, quickly, some right, some wrong, but come out with a policy, next, how we're going to grow. I know he's for, growing the economy, how we specifically are going to help black people grow the economy and help them out whatever way possible. I mean, I'm not just talking about black people, Latino people too. But you know what? Let's start focusing on that as well. I mean, he's done a lot, obviously, in 6 weeks. Agree or disagree, he's done a ton. But, hopefully he'll shift that way. And, because right now we're rolling. I mean,
yeah, we rolling. I don't know what direction we rolling in though, but
he's got a chance. If he does some of the things that I just talked about, to make this like a generational thing. Like we could win the next several elections if he.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm down for all that, but I appreciate your call. All right. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781. Let me get Untouchable Jay up in the spot. Been a minute, Jay. What's happening?
Good morning, Bishop. How are you?
I'm good. How you feel?
I can't call it, brother. Wonderful topic. I always say, these two parties are like two people that owe you money, right? One keeps telling you why they can't pay you back, and others telling you he ain't gonna pay you back.
Right.
And then they have expressly failed our community on so many levels. I'm still very thrown back this election with Trump being in office. The level of Negroes that are supporting him.
It's crazy.
It's mind-boggling. But we're in a bad state. The Dems blew money hand and foot under the Biden administration. And now Trump is just being Trump. So it's a precarious situation. And we're stuck in the middle. And I just don't know how we're going to come out of this, Bishop. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, bro. But we got 4 years of
Yeah,
tightening up our seatbelt for how crazy this ride is gonna be.
it's definitely going to be interesting, and I just hope it kind of puts we have to start learning from these things. We had the tactics of the Dems in the past elections, from take your booty to the poll and
Right.
chicken dinners, and Kamala Harris talking about you know cleaning collard greens in a bathtub. So now we got folks talking about I can't wait to get that $5,000. We got to start preparing better.
Yeah, yeah,
We definitely do. But
yeah.
I'll land there, brother.
All right, appreciate you. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
the $5,000. So they're talking about the money that Doge is supposed to be saving by firing just random people, slashing random budgets. And you guys pay attention to this, because the rhetoric is what's fooling y'all. Y'all are like, Trump gets up and say, we found all this wasteful spending. Go look up and find out what they actually slapped. Humanitarian aid, okay, fighting Ebola, pediatric cancer research. This is the wasteful spending that they're cutting for vital services, coming after Social Security and Medicare. These are not touching the Department of Defense, anything to have to do with any of Elon's contracts, but vital services for your grandma and them to buy medicine. That's the so-called wasteful spending. And we see this new paradigm of regretful Trump voters. There's whole videos that are out there of them crying and having a fit because they feel betrayed, because they're losing their jobs, they're losing their health care, they're losing their benefits, and they're feeling betrayed right now. And I'm sorry, I ran out of I don't cares. I ran out for y'all, because they're at maximum mess around and find out. It's absolutely insane out there what's happening right now, and we just can't keep playing this game. It's time for a paradigm shift. We got to stop treating voting like it's an act of loyalty to any particular party and start treating it as a tool for leverage. Our vote should come with demands, clear, measurable, uncompromising. We got to build independent political institutions. We got to build local coalitions, policy platforms, electoral pacts that can extract concessions from candidates regardless of what their party affiliation is. And then we got to invest in political education so our people understand not just how to vote, but how power works. I saw one right-wing black guy who anything that's against black people, he's down with. And he was talking about when there was some talking about them rolling back civil rights gains. And he said, they can't even do that because they've got to pass the House and the Congress, and then the president's got to sign it. No, you dumb. They challenge it in the courts. That's how we lost the Voting Rights Act. Nobody passed any legislation. They challenged the constitutionality of the Voting Rights Act, and the Supreme Court gutted the formula that determined preclearance, which means the enforcement is no longer in effect. And when you have a conservative Supreme Court, they just challenge things in court. So we got people who running off at the mouth and don't even know basic civics. So we got to do some political education so our people understand how this system works, how to vote, how power works, how to cultivate a new generation of black political leaders who are accountable to the community and not the party machine. Let me get Terrain Walker, my brother, up in here. Hey, brother Terrain. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Bishop. How you doing?
I'm good. How you feel?
Doing well. This is an excellent, long overdue topic, and I'm glad that you're the one that's leading this. But one thing that I think we really need to be aware of is that black voters and black people are in, because a lot of times the people who did this for us, or the people who elected themselves to speak for us, are so connected to the system that they don't even want to have a conversation about alternatives. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have people who are so deep in the bag for the Democrats that they refuse to listen to even other black people who are dissatisfied with them. And on the other side, you also have a lot of people who may be Republican, but the Republican Party platforms some of the tap dancers and Stephen from Django's, when there are Republican black people who actually have valid ideas, but they can't get the word in. I think black people need to go back to what you said. We need to be everywhere. We need to be in the Democratic Party. We need to be in the Republican Party, and we need to be independent, but we don't need to just be bodies. We need to be actively moving things. And I think we're going to have to get some of these people who've been there since the 1970s and the 1980s out of the way so some new blood can come in. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you, my brother. Check out brother Terrain Walker down in the ATL. Giving out some great information and moving in that arena. But yeah, he's right. We got to be willing, when necessary, to withhold our votes, not out of apathy, not out of anything like that, but out of strategy. There's no freedom in giving away loyalty if there's no return on our investment. We are not obligated to be the moral compass of a party that lacks a spine. Are you hearing me, Democrats? We didn't fight for the right to vote so politicians could ignore us. We fought so we could build power. And power means making both parties work for us, or else making them irrelevant. And so it's time for us as a people to stop settling for symbolism and start demanding substance. We've got to end this era of blind party loyalty. The era of black political self-determination has to begin. Has to begin. All right, I got to get out your way. Coming up next is mid-morning jazz and great black music. Check me out on Friday. I'll be back on the Black Love Experience every Friday at 9:00 a.m. So check us out. If you're looking for a place to worship and you're anywhere near the 413, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Bishop Talbert Swan Way, 11:00 a.m. on Sunday. 10:00 starts Sunday school. And on Saturday, we are at the Spring of Hope, Brattleboro, Vermont location at 9 a.m., 29 South Street, Brattleboro, Vermont. On Sunday, we're here at Spring of Hope, Springfield, 35 Alder Street, Bishop Talbert Swan Way. Prayer, praise, and preaching. We're building better tomorrows by changing lives today. James Lewis is in the building. He's coming up next with mid-morning jazz and great black music. So keep it locked right here on 90.7 WTCC until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me. Always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Peace and blessings.
Sir.
What's happening, bro?
Well, another day in the neighborhood.
Yeah. This one is for all the brothers that passed, but more particularly one because it affected me drastically. I remember my sister gave me the call and I was in awe. Matter of fact, it felt the farthest from reality. She seen somebody post RIP with his name and I said I doubt it's the same friend I had since the 7th grade. She said I'ma call his sister and double check and call me back, said he hanged himself.